We are on 18% and we are absolutely going to wing it to make sure we can get through this one. If you've ever felt like your marketing just isn't working, no matter how hard you try, you're definitely not alone. I speak to so many B2B marketers who are running at full speed, executing a million tactics, yet getting no real results. And then the questions from leaders and sales start. Why aren't we getting more leads? Why isn't brand awareness growing? Why is sales still saying they don't have what they need from you? It's frustrating, it's exhausting, and if you're not careful, it is going to swallow your marketing spark whole. So today I'm breaking down exactly why this happens and what we can do about it. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, that's awkward. Stop trying to be cool. Welcome back to my channel. I'm B2B Jade, bringing nearly 2 decades of B2B marketing experience to overwhelmed, frazzled marketing managers just like you, helping them simplify strategy and gain confidence in their role. And if you want a clear step-by-step process to build your marketing strategy, you can check out my course I've linked in the show notes. If you're listening on the podcast, you might want to head over to B2B Jade TV on YouTube and watch the episode. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit alerts. So why does it feel like no matter what you do, marketing just isn't delivering? Here's what I see happening all the time. Too many disconnected tactics and no overall strategy. It sounds really basic, but when you ask marketing managers, do you have a marketing strategy? They either say yes, and when I see it, just generally speaking, it's more of a campaign plan. So it's missing out all of the strategic parts that you would need. Or B, they say, no, we don't have one, we're too busy and we just don't have one. What happens when you do loads of different marketing tactics is that you feel like you're achieving stuff, you feel like you're doing things, but actually none of it is getting the focus and attention it would need to actually drive real results. So none of it gets you anywhere. So you're just doing loads of stuff. You're just keeping busy for no reason. For example, if you wanted to make a podcast work, you would be better off doing an episode per week, making sure the content is bang on, having a really solid lead magnet, like inviting people to sign up for a webinar that you have or any other thing. And then really going for that, like even going with 2 episodes a week over a 6-month period, you would do so well to just do that one thing really well. And if you gave it your all, I imagine that if you were clever in how you distributed that content and raised the awareness of that content and that podcast show, you would do way better than if you're spreading yourself thin across 20 different things, sending an email newsletter every 3 months when you can manage to get the content signed off, pushing back the podcast because it's not business critical and there's a big event that's coming up. And then the next week, you've got an ad campaign that has to be signed off, so the podcast gets pushed back again. And then all of these little things times 10, and then you never achieve anything. All the while, your leaders are saying to you, oh, well, that didn't work. Why are you still doing that? Let's try something else. Let's try something else. And then 2 years pass, you've tried 20 different things and none of them worked. Or you have hired specialist experts because a lot of the time we're expected to do things internally on our own and it's not working out for us. So we think, okay, let's hire a specialist expert. We give them 3 months. There's no leads coming in because we didn't give it time or budget to even get enough of the data to tell us if it's working. And then we get rid of them, try someone else without really ever getting super detailed on 1 or 2 things. So that is the biggest reason why we're not getting results from our marketing, is because we're spreading ourselves too thin and there is no strategy that's telling us what we should be doing. A big reason that marketing fails is when leadership are not bought into it. They're just seeing you as the task department. They just flood you with operational duties. They don't step back to assess what are the business priorities, what can marketing do to actually help us deliver on those, and what few things could they do with really high impact to actually get us to where we need to get to. So ultimately you're expected to execute but not lead. And because we've got the B2B marketing gap, the huge void between leaders and marketers, then what happens is there is a gap where there should be a strategy that a marketing director has created. So I thought the best way to help with this is to help you get more strategic. I felt like it was a safer bet than trying to get them to hire a really expensive marketing director, and actually helps you to move to the next level in your role. But the worst part of all of it is the impact on you. With all of these things I'm talking about, you end up doubting yourself, you get the imposter syndrome, you feel like you're not good enough, you feel like, why me? Like everyone else must be able to do this. There's something that I'm missing. And because we're often a lone voice in marketing in our business, it can feel like, it's just so woolly and like no one really gets what I'm doing. Other departments, it feels a little bit more easy to track and measure whether they're doing a good job, but everyone seems to have an opinion on marketing. I'm here to tell you that the way you're feeling is not weird, it's not strange. Like, everyone feels the same. I still sometimes feel imposter syndrome and think, what am I talking about? Like, what even is a strategy? But it's short-lived, and you definitely can get through those negative voices. So to get unstuck from this problem, you're going to need to start to see how your role needs to shift from executor to strategic thinker. Marketing is not just about making things look good and supporting sales. Its true role is to help better understand customer needs and help the business satisfy them and attracting that growth that's going to get the business to where it needs to get to. So start with business priorities, not marketing tasks. If your marketing strategy starts with tactics, or worse still, your marketing objectives are more like strategies, you're going to need to step back, figure out what the business needs to do, and then connect to marketing objectives with that. In part 2 of my marketing strategy course, students do get really stuck when they're writing their objectives, because we follow a model that's less about SMART objectives, where we just say, achieve a 10% increase in customer retention within a 6-month period, because that just plasters over the issue of losing customers. When you can write a marketing objective that goes a bit deeper to helping you understand why customers are leaving in the first place, you can of course have some key results around increasing retention as a measurable, but actually the objective needs to be more about understanding customers and helping position the business correctly and setting up all the systems so that they want to stay with you. Again, I think marketing objectives can sometimes lead us down to much too tactical thinking. We need to raise up a little bit our profile in the business, figure out what's really going on. And a really good example of this is my local coffee shop. I never buy cakes from them because they're always kind of stale. And I believe that is because they're not putting them under like a glass lid. So, you see a cake tray with a glass lid. They probably sat there going, why are our cake sales so low? And maybe they're changing suppliers, trying different cakes. They're still not going. But by 1 p.m, those cakes are stale. They are nasty. If they just asked me, what do you think of our cakes? I'd be like, they're stale. I really fancy them, but they're stale, so that's why I'm not buying them. Then they would be better set up to not have me buy my cakes in Marks and Spencer or in another bakery, and they would have that insight to help them understand better. If their objective was just sell more cakes, they probably would dive straight into promotions and campaigns to say, get a free cake with your drink. So, do you see why we need to get deeper in how we are really thinking and digging and problem solving to understand what our customers need? That is the true role of marketing, and it's why Module 2 in my strategy course is my absolute favorite, because it really brings us down to earth. If you really want to get results from your marketing, you're going to need to do less and better. So rather than taking on loads of different marketing techniques and trying them all out with really limited resources stretched really thin, you're going to pick 1 or 2 high impact activities. You're going to give it your all. You're going to go all in. You're going to figure out the best possible way to make that work. You're going to study how other people are doing it. You're going to read case studies. You're going to send them to leaders. You're going to have gone through a process that tells you these are the right techniques for our marketing strategy, and we are going for it. Because if you water it down by being on too many channels and doing too many things, you're going to be rubbish on all fronts. But if you can go for it with 1 or 2, you're going to be having high impact results. So we can then drop those vanity metrics of showing, look at all the things we've done, and actually look at the 2 things we're doing really well, give them the time they need, and then show and demonstrate real business results, not just vanity metrics that don't mean anything. And when leaders stop treating marketing as this never-ending to-do list department and start focusing on using them in a way that has real impact on the business, they're going to see a few things. First, you're going to be taken seriously by leadership. Because you've learned to say no in a professional way, you've learned to redirect into what is it that we need to do to have impact, as opposed to what list should we tick off. You're going to start to be respected, because people who confidently take charge of the situation and look at things with a more strategic angle, they're just taken seriously. You'll also feel confident pushing back on unrealistic expectations, because you can bring them back to your strategy to remind them and point out that if we move away from these 2 or 3 core activities, we're going to water everything down. We're going to muddy the water. We got to stick with our strategy. And the third benefit is you'll start to see marketing actually drive meaningful results for the business. There is no better feeling as a marketer than your plan working. But if you continue to let leaders muddy the water, throw things at you, and you just mindlessly doing them and trying to do your job by meeting their needs, I think the biggest thing marketers miss is that their job is to stop saying yes to everything and every idea and actually find out what sits behind behind this idea? What challenge are they trying to solve when they bring you the idea? That is what you then problem solve around. So rather than saying, no, we're not doing that, that's not in the strategy, I haven't got time for that, say, I'm really interested in this idea. Could you tell me a bit more about what challenge you're trying to solve with this idea that you've brought forward? Because I think I'm on board with you and I really want to look at this further. You can take away that business challenge. Maybe they feel like there's no awareness of us. Maybe they feel like they're not getting enough opportunities to quote. Maybe they feel like they're not converting enough work. They're trying to come up with the outcome, the result, the activity that's going to solve it. What you need from them is, tell me about the problem you're facing. Let me build that into my marketing strategy. And when you feel confident about exactly what you're supposed to be working on and when and how, all of this imposter syndrome rubbish just seems to fall away. I think the big reason why marketing managers are so stuck is honestly because we feel like we should be able to do the impossible. But if you really look at what you're able to do with the available resources, like, does your work feel impossible? Do you feel like no matter how many hours you put in and how hard you worked, it still actually wouldn't ever get you results? Because that's a key indicator that you are stuck on the marketing task wheel and that something needs to change. Because I don't know a non-hardworking B2B marketer who actually watches my content, asks me questions, because you guys care about getting this right just like I did. So tell me, if this hit home, let me know in comments. What is the number one challenge stopping you from stepping up at work right now? And if you want to learn how to build a B2B marketing strategy that is simple to execute and actually works, you can enroll into B2B Breakthrough Academy and finally get unstuck. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel, like this video, and press the little ding bell thing so that you don't miss any of my episodes. Thanks so much for being here. I never know how to sign off. Have a great day. Awkward. Oh my gosh, that one took hardly any time at all. So happy. Okay, great.